Alright, here's a quick video on the remainder theorem. So our lesson on remainder theorem focuses around the idea of using the remainder theorem to find factors. So just in case you wanted any of these notes, the remainder theorem says that the remainder upon dividing by x minus a is equal to evaluating an f of a. So essentially, if you want to divide by x minus something or x plus something, all you do is take that number and you flip the sign, right? So these are opposite signs. So you flip the sign and you plug it in for x. So let me show you what I mean by that in the example that we did in class. We divided x squared minus 6x plus 10 by x minus 3. And we got x minus 3 with a 1 remainder. Now I took this x minus 3 here and I switched it, making it positive. Switching the sign, and we made it positive 3. Now I plug that 3 in for the x, so it goes in here and here. I get 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 10. 3 squared is 9, minus 18 plus 10. 9 minus 18 is negative 9, plus 10 is 1. So I get the same exact thing when I evaluate as if I had divided. So that means that I can use evaluating, meaning plugging values into a function, instead of having to divide in order to find the remainders that I want. Now what remainders do I want? That's pretty easy. I want things with a 0 remainder. So we'd written on the front here, for number 11, when you divide by a factor, what is the remainder? I don't know how this got erased, but 0 remainder means factor. So if you get a 0 remainder, it means that whatever you've divided by is a factor. So let's see. I'm going to use this method to answer question 23, because I think it's like one of your homework questions, two of which were 24 and 25. I hope this still holds true when I use this video later. Now, so I'm going to use 23. Use the remainder theorem and division to factor the following polynomials. Now here are the steps that we're going to take with our question here, 23. Move on past all this. Okay, here's the polynomial. We're going to use the calculator to find one root or 0. We're going to flip the sign on the root to find a factor. We're going to divide that factor into the larger polynomial to get the second factor. All we need to do is factor in this part, so that's where we'll stop. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to plug it into my calculator to find one root or 0. Go to y equals negative 3 x squared minus 41x, and I think that was minus 88. Yes, minus 88. I'm going to go to the table, so second graph, and I'm going to look for a value of x that makes the function equal to 0. So let's see if I can, there we go. Negative 11. Negative 11 makes the function equal to 0. Now let's flip the sign on the root to find a factor. And give myself a little space in between these steps. So by flipping the sign on the root, I mean that if I had a t-chart with my factors up top, all set equal to 0, I would flip the sign on whatever it was for the root. So if x equals 11 is down here, that means that I had x minus 11 up here. Positive 11, negative 11. If I had a 4 down here, it would be x minus 4. If I had a negative 10, it would be x plus 10. So you're just flipping the sign on whatever it is. Okay, but here's the thing. I actually don't know what goes here yet. I only know one root. I couldn't find the other one. But this guy right here, this is a factor. And what factors do, they divide in evenly. So I'm going to divide the factor into the larger polynomial. I'm going to take this one right up here. Copy it down so I can do a little division. And I'm going to take this one right here. And I'm going to copy that too. And I'm going to do some division. Now we know how to do division. We've done this plenty of times. There are plenty of videos on that, so I'm going to do this briskly. X goes into negative 3x squared, negative 3x times. Distribute that down. Negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times negative 11 is going to be a positive 33x. Parentheses and subtract. Now, negative 41 minus negative 33 is going to be sorry about that, technical difficulty. I paused to fix a mistake and then it didn't turn back on. Okay, so I made a mistake over here. The actual root was x minus 11. So x equals negative 11 rather. And in that case, this should have been x plus 11. So I made that mistake and it carried down here. So I'm not perfect and I make algebraic mistakes just like you guys do sometimes. Okay, so let's start this again. And let's do it right this time. X goes into negative 3x squared, negative 3x times. Distributed down gets me negative 3x squared. And negative 3x times 11 gets me negative 33x. Parentheses and subtract. These cross out. Now minus a minus is plus. So negative 41 plus 33 is going to be a negative 8. And then bring down the next term. Negative 8. Now x goes into negative 8x. X goes into negative 8x. A negative 8 times. I distribute the negative 8 over. Negative 8 times x is negative 8x, and negative 8 times 11 is negative 88. Parentheses and subtract, they both cross out, and I get a 0 remainder. That's what I expected because we were talking about factors this whole time. Now that means that this right here is my other factor. Negative 3x minus 8. And that's it, you're done. For this section at least. This is the factored form right here. Box that. Done and done. Now, I don't want to start a brand new question, just to add one instruction. For the second section here at the bottom of the page, use the same method of factoring as questions 22 through 27, but solve for all roots as well. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to solve for the root that we're missing. So I'm going to just use this to demonstrate. We get all this done, same exact beginning. The only difference is when we get to here, we say, all right, we've got one root here. I need to get one root on this side. So negative 3x minus 8, we set it equal to 0. And I'm going to solve for x by adding 8. Adding 8. It gets me negative 3x equals 8. And I divide by negative 3 to get it off of the x. And I get x by itself is equal to 8 over negative 3, and we can leave that as a fraction. So this is my second root. Okay, so that should help you with the first and the second part. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, like always.